Hey everybody, it's Jay Ocker here again with Real Estate by Design Group at Keller Williams Realty in Dallas, Fort Worth. And as always, I'm joined by
Troy Jaster, San Antonio, Texas, Real Estate by Design Group at the Keller Williams City View office. And we have a special guest today. Jay, who is it?
We do too. We're really excited. So you've been following the series. We hope you've enjoyed everything. We talked a lot about prospecting, lead levers. Today, we're really excited to introduce Niki Barnes. Niki, I will brag on you because I know you won't do it yourself. Niki, for the last 10 or 12 years, has been usually the number one buyer agent in her market center, if not sometimes number two, but she's usually the number one in the market center. Just an incredible business, great ethic, great habits, and a great base of knowledge. We're happy to be able to talk to her today. Niki, tell us a little bit about you, your background, what you did before real estate, and just the 30-second elevator speech.
Okay. So I was in education before I was in real estate. So I taught elementary special ed for a few years, and then I got into real estate this is my 13th year.
That's amazing. So we've noticed a trend there. Troy, you were also in education. Educators make amazing realtors. So if you happen to be stumbling across this and you're struggling with your education career, give us a call. Maybe we could help you out.
I've heard that it works pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things, and we talked briefly before we met, that we really want to drill down on as far as your business and what you've done. Troy, kick us off.
Yeah. So, Niki, if you can just kind of give us a background that in the last few years, I'm sure things have changed over time, but in the last few years, where do you feel like most of your business has come from? What sort of lead flow, what sort of paths has it mostly come from?
Sure. Definitely has increased as far as repeat business and referrals from past clients. I would say that is primarily my lead flow currently.
Over the past couple of years, Niki, and I've been able to talk to you and kind of see this happen. You've made a really concerted effort over probably the last 3 or 4 years to really focus in on that group. And that's something we talked about earlier in one of the videos was your past client database. It's valuable information. There are people who are your cheerleaders. Why wouldn't you exploit that? What sorts of things are you doing with those folks just to stay engaged and be top of mind when they know of anybody who needs to buy or sell a home?
Sure. I will start by saying, I think keeping your sphere when you first get into real estate and keeping up with that is probably one of your database, like one of the most important things. I think if I could go back and change one thing, that would be what it was when I started out, is for the first couple of years, really should have kept up with that better because it makes a huge difference down the road. But currently doing a couple of things, I've gotten more of drip plans in place on some different platforms and a better plan in place just marketing wise to make sure that I'm consistent on reaching out to past clients and engaging with them.
And I think you just nailed the key word there, and that's consistency, right?
Yeah,
you have to be persistent
definitely
with your method and most importantly, consistent with it. I'm sorry, I about cut you off, Troy.
Yeah, so Niki, you mentioned that you've got a couple different systems in place. So drip plans, I'm guessing that's all email, or is that also regular standard mail things too? Is it phone calls? Is it text messages? Is it a combination? What does that look like?
It's a combination. I don't do a lot of direct mail. Probably most of it is going to be through emails, but texting, phone, just reminders to myself about phone calls I need to make. So I think it's a mix. And I think that if you just do one, at least in my opinion, it gets kind of boring and monotonous. And I think people can easily miss a message from you. So I do want to try to do multiple different avenues. And then we also do some things where we have client events. And so that's just another way to reach out to clients. And I also try to go to as many personal functions of my clients as possible, or at least meet with past clients at least once a week, like pick one client and maybe just go out to dinner with them or coffee, something quick. But if I'm invited to a past client's birthday party, just a wedding, I really do try to go to those because those are really personal relationships, and we kind of, just keeping that, and it's really important.
I've definitely noticed that about you. Your army of supporters is deep and very loyal to you, and that's because you've personally engaged yourself on more than just a surface level. Hey, who do you know that needs to buy or sell a house? You truly take an interest in their lives, their well-being, and wanting to know, what's going on. Well, we haven't talked in a while. So I think that stuff really resonates with your past client database. we were very much the same. I think for the first 4 or 5 years, we never even had a database, which was, again, cardinal sin, right? If one do-over I had, that would be it for sure. Something else we wanted to kind of touch on, though, is your ability to remain consistent. So you're normally doing, consistently 60 to 80 plus units a year. And
Right.
you've been through down cycles. Most people who are watching this and most agents out there did not live through 2008 through 2011, right? The average agent has only been licensed for a few years, and this is really valuable stuff for them to hear. And because of COVID and just general market shifts that happen here and there, how have you managed to remain consistent? In other words, what has your mindset been and your practices been?
Sure. I think, that keyword of shifting. And when the market changes, it's, how do you shift into fitting into the new market? And I think when I got into real estate, foreclosures and short sales were our dominant market at that point. So kind of being educated and having some basic knowledge in short sales, foreclosures, if you do leases, residential, so that when the market shifts, you're already ready to go. You're ready
ahead
to hit. Yeah, exactly. And you're not kind of lagging behind and trying to, okay, how do I learn about this so that I can then go out and help this market?
Yeah. So I heard a really smart guy once say, act like the market you're getting ready to be in, not the one you're currently sitting in. Right. So
yeah,
foreshadow that a
exactly.
little bit.
It's made a big difference, I think.
The question that I have as you're going through all of this is, as Jay mentioned, you're consistently doing 60 to 80 deals a year. There's people that might be watching this that are struggling with one or two at a time. Maybe they're doing 6 to 8 to 10 a year and struggling with that. How in the world do you do 60 to 80 consistently year over year? And I know you have a husband, so I know you have dogs, and so how do you continue to do that and still? I know you travel. I know you're doing all these other things. How are you doing that and still keeping a life?
I think it took, some years to figure out how to do that. That probably the balance was not there at the beginning. So I have a very patient husband, but I think now, again, getting more systems in place so that you do kind of have a plan, and also knowing when is the time to reach out and say, I need some help, and over the last couple of years, I've kind of been able to do that and get a little more support help so that I can go out and do that business, but then still have, my own personal life.
Mm-hmm. So when you first started out, you were independent, correct? You were a solo.
I was solo for 6 months.
Okay.
And I was teaching during that time too. So just the first 6 months.
So has, and for everybody who does not know this, Niki is on a team and been there for 11, almost 12 years. How has that helped you juggle that caseload?
That's huge. And I would just say, again, it's that support staff, having systems in place so that it's not just going out and doing 60 to 80 deals all by myself. There's just no way that you can be consistent on keeping up with your clients. And then, showings, and there is a good amount of paperwork. Yeah. So really it's essential that, have some support staff in there to help and systems in place. And I will just say too, a huge benefit, just thinking about COVID in the last couple of months of being on a team, is that I don't have a lot of overhead. And that has been extremely helpful, when the market changes and things happen. So for me, that's been a big advantage of being on a team.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. Troy, you got any other questions? I think we got down pretty deep there. That's awesome information, Niki.
I'm just going to throw one your way. And it's this, it's that ultimate question of, okay, if I'm watching this and I'm trying to restart my real estate career, what's one thing, Niki, that I need to be really focusing on in the next, let's say 30 days?
One thing.
You can do two if you need to.
I would say just reaching out to your sphere, letting them know you're there, letting come from a place of service, not just, hey, I'm a real estate agent, don't forget, send me, are you wanting to buy or sell? Like reaching out to them just as a person and seeing how they're doing and what's going on in their lives.
Yeah, just doing general well checks and show them that you care and you're thinking about
it. Yeah, and that's something that we actually talked about either last episode or a couple episodes ago when we were talking about those care calls over the last few months. So that doesn't end. It's not like COVID is suddenly done.
No, it doesn't
Things are
require a
still happening.
pandemic to be reaching out to your database, right? Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Cool. Well, Niki, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. Really appreciate it. I know people are
No
going to find this
problem.
stuff really valuable. And until the next episode, guys, which is actually a summary of the entire series, you know where you can reach us. It's at knowledge@rebdgroup.com. I think the email address will be right around there. Any comments, questions that you have about anything we've talked about, obviously we're here to help you out. We want you to succeed in your careers, and we thank you again for the time.